Alright guys, in this haircut tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to do a mid-drop fade with a messy crop on top. Now, this is a very trendy hairstyle, so chances are you're going to have to do this sometime soon if you haven't already done it. Whether it's a different hairstyle on top or this hairstyle specifically. So I begin all of my haircuts with doing the top first. Now with the top, my client and I, we're growing it out. So we're just adding texture. We're just adding more texture, and you take off a bit of length anyways. The reason I begin with the top is because it helps me create the foundation of what we're going to blend up into, what we're going to fade up into, rather than doing the sides and then doing the top afterwards. I just find it more efficient. So I've done the top, and now I always start my skin fades with my clipper with the no guard closed. The reason I do this is because it helps me get rid of the skin line, which I still have issues getting out to this day. Now, in this video, my fade steps are very simple. As my first guideline, I have the no guard open, and then to fade it out, I just close it and open it, close it and open it. Because doing it about halfway isn't always going to work with every single client. You're going to have to play with the lever. The barber that I watched growing up, he calls it trigger play. So that's what I'm going to refer to it as, trigger play. You're playing with the lever. You're playing with the trigger. So I've got my steps in this video on the left-hand side. This video was filmed a while ago, so I've been cracking down on my fade process now. So in a few videos time, my fade process, you're going to see it change. So the second part of this, half guard, open. So I've just created the guideline and now I'm starting to fade it out. So I've been doing my best to keep my fade process as simple as possible and just to have something to fall back on. Now, I'm up to the next part. One guard open, and you can see I'm constantly flicking out. Almost, you can see my wrist. It's constantly, it's a bit hard to explain, but the way that my wrist is, I'm slightly fading up into the longer hair. I'm not really flicking out. But you can see I'm not just going up, down, up. There we go. I'm not just going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm slightly flicking out, flicking out. So when you're doing this hairstyle, my client wants to keep the weight up the top of the fade dark. Now, I cut his hair 2 days ago, and it's probably like the perfect look that he's after. So you want to keep in mind that if your client wants a darker look, you don't want to cut too much hair off. So now I'm detailing the fade. I'm speeding this shit up. All right, now onto the right side. So I make sure to do exactly what I did on the left side to the right side. I'm not going to lie. There are times where I will just completely forget. My mind's going 100 miles an hour, 100, and I'm just constantly getting lost. So it's your job to learn from my mistakes. I've been cutting hair for 9 years, and I know how to cut hair. But I'm nowhere near the perfect barber. I have so much work to do, so much work to learn. So take as much value as you can from the mistakes that I've made. Use it as leverage so you don't make the same mistakes as I have. And so you can progress faster than I did. So that's what I'm here for. All right, what am I up to? Fading out. If I can move. I can't even see. There we go. All right. Now I'm constantly spinning the chair when I'm cutting hair. This logically makes more sense for me. I don't like to walk around my clients. I like to spin the chair. And it's pretty cool. It sets me apart. Not many barbers here in Sydney spin the chair. And I've had lots of comments from new clients saying, bro, I've never experienced this before. And to me, it just makes my life easy. I get to stand in pretty much the same spot, and I'll just make my client work. I just moved my client. So I'm using the chair to my advantage. All right. Now, like exact same steps on the other side as the other side. All right, so you can see this weight line already at the top of the fade, slightly above where the clipper is. So I'm going to use the 1.5 guard open to help blend into it. I don't know if I use that. I can't remember if I use a higher guard, but this in the video, I use a 1.5 guard to help blend up into the weight. I believe I do scissor over comb as well, or maybe clipper over comb, just to get out all the heavy weight lines that shouldn't be there. Yeah, so you're going to see this fade just begin to just gradually get smoother and smoother and smoother as I detail, as I'm constantly cutting. All right. So now I'm up to the back of the head. The back of the head, the hair grows slightly different. So it's always going to be somewhat, not a struggle, but somewhat of an obstacle, somewhat of a challenge to fade the back of the hair, just because it grows differently. So if that means you need to pull on your client's head to pull the skin tight, do whatever you need to do. All right, so this is what I've been doing recently. I go in with my trimmer to create the skin line after I've done the fade. And I got this off Tito Cuts. I'm still perfecting it myself, but this is what I've been doing. So I slightly fade up, or no, I slightly fade below where I set my skin line in with my clipper, no guard closed, step number 1. And then with the trimmer, I'm going slightly underneath and I'm doing my best to blend up into it. So in theory, everything that's underneath the trimmer line, I can use my foil shaver to fade up into and create the skin line, if that makes sense. All right. Okay. All right, so with my foil shaver, if you can see, I'm even flicking out, just like you would with a clipper. I'm doing the same thing with the foil shaver. To the higher that I get, the higher to the skin line that I get, or the skin line that I set in with my 0, with my trimmer. So even then, even to get out the skin line, you can tap down. You can tap down with the foil. So all you can do, oh shucks, I'm flicking out the higher that I get, and you can also go the other way and tap down. You can tap down as well. So my client, we have just been lining up the hooks, the C cups. There's a few different names. We don't bother really doing the vertical bars anymore. A lot of my clients don't really get the vertical bars. A lot of my clients have been opting for more of a natural look, which looks great. Not every haircut needs to be super sharp, super defined. I don't push it anymore. I used to be obsessed with doing it, but now I just do whatever not only the client wants, but truthfully, the natural look on the majority of people actually looks better. Maybe not in America. America, on African American people, the sharp look probably does look better. But here in Australia, like my clientele, not many of them want a super, super sharp, defined look. And sometimes it's too much for them. Oh no, I do the vertical bars. No, I think I just don't do it with the trimmer for my client. Yeah, I like to do the vertical bars with the razor. I don't always use the trimmer. I don't like to. Sometimes it's necessary if there's a lot of hair overhang in the lineup. A lot of the time, I just use the razor. I'm more efficient that way. It helps me prevent pushing back my clients. And I can get I'm more specific with the hair that I'm cutting. It helps me just target the hair. So I do my clients' eyebrows as well. So you're going to see me use some shave gel. I always use shave gel. I used to dry shave, even eyebrows. Not everyone's skin can handle dry shaves. So with eyebrows, there's a difference between shaping them and cleaning them up. Shaping them makes them look girly, and that's why a lot of guys are hesitant to get their eyebrows done. Naturally, some people will have their eyebrows that when they're cleaned up, they look shaped. But ideally, you don't want to shape men's eyebrows. I used to always want to, but it doesn't always work. So don't shape them so they look feminine and girly. If they naturally are like that, perfect. That's okay. But you want to make the eyebrows look as natural as possible. You're just cleaning up all the hair that doesn't need to be there. So stop trying to shape eyebrows. So pull the skin tight, hold the blade flat. Naturally, on most men, you will be able to tell the difference between the hair that is supposed to be there and the hair that you need to cut off with the blade. If you don't want to use the blade, you can use trimmers. Something with a T blade is easiest and more precise. So I do the middle, on top, underneath. All right. So just hold the blade flat, pull the skin tight, and take your time. These areas around here, around the eyes, are quite sensitive, so you need to really pull the skin tight because there's a lot of loose skin. So I don't always use the trimmers on my clients' eyebrows. The only time I would is if I'm doing it now, to where there's just hair sticking out of the eyebrows. And with the scissors, it just doesn't really do the look the majority of the time. All right. See, I'm just going to detail the fade. I'm just playing around with the hair, seeing how it looks. And when you're detailing, there's no specific way to detail. You're just going over your work. So if you see a dark spot, you think, okay, I know a no guard open is going to get rid of that dark spot. And you're just perfecting the fade. So my client wanted even more texture, and I believe I even take out some more weight around where the widow's peak would be, towards the center of the front of the hairline, just because it's a little heavier than what my client is going for. So I'm doing it now so you can see, just do it on the side of the head. So I've got my client face towards the mirror, just so he can see what I'm doing, because as I'm cutting his hair, I'm just talking to him as well, explaining a few different things. All right, so now I'm just blow drying all the hair away from his hair. And I've been doing this recently. After I cut my client's hair, I've just been getting rid of as much hair as possible that's left on his head. That way when I style it, I don't get a hairy mess. My client doesn't get a hairy mess, because my clients may go to the gym. They might, I don't know, they might go out after. So I'm just saving my client the hassle. So I use texture powder for my client's hair. I think we used to use wax, actually. I think I might have just started using texture powder. I don't know. I've got to run that by him, see what we were doing originally. And then I'd get my client to style his hair. And this is how he styles his hair. If you do like this hairstyle and you want to see how my client does it himself, this is how he does it. All right. So this video was taken while I was cutting at our Bexley North shop. So I was at our Bexley North shop for just over 3 weeks. So I just got a message from a client. While our Reevesby shop was getting renovated. So it was really fun working at our Bexley North shop. I think I might have another video. This may be the last tutorial from our Bexley North shop. But we're back at Reevesby. Reevesby's been renovated. And I work at the highest rated barbershop in Revesby, New South Wales, in Australia. So if you need your haircut, I help men go from being unconfident to unforgettable. I help men look their best, feel their best, because you're presenting yourself to the world. And I believe that we shouldn't leave anything to chance. So if you want a haircut, go to jtcuts.com or click the link in the description and book your haircut with me. Walk around with confidence, become unforgettable now. Because you don't get a second chance at leaving a great first impression. So this is how I show my clients in the mirror. I constantly spin them around. Because the lighting is facing my clients, this is just logically, it makes more sense for me to show them this way. I show them side by side. Yeah, I like to do all these little things. I also grew up watching a lot of American barbers, and they pretty much do all this as well. So I'm heavily influenced by the American style of cutting. That's why I used to always push for sharp lineups. So you can see now I'm detailing the back of the head because like there's a few dark spots in the back of his head, and that's normal. That's normal. Yeah, I'm just being super precise, constantly wiping away the hair on my client's head. And this is how the fade turned out. Again, it's very trendy. You're most likely going to get a client that wants this haircut. The majority of times, mid-drop fades are usually to skin, but always double check with your clients because not every client likes skin. Some people's skin doesn't work well with the foil shaver. They break out in bumps, or it might just be too much for them. So just run it by your client first. And yeah, this is how the haircut turned out. How long do we have left? Oh, perfect, about 30 seconds. Yeah, this is how the haircut turned out. Follow me on Instagram. I post daily content and updates. And look, I'm posting these videos to help barbers speed up their process so they can cut hair. I've been cutting for 9 years and I've made plenty of mistakes. So learn from my mistakes so that way you can become a better barber faster by learning from my mistakes. And I've been cutting hair for 9 years. And this is how the haircut turned out. If you grabbed any value, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. See you in the next one.